thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you for coming on to the program this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Let me just get started first and talk to you about the issues that are just being discussed. You've seen the report that was filed in by our reporter Sigir, and you've seen all this happen the entirety of the week. What was your first immediate reaction to the Senate's proposal introducing the death penalty as a maximum punishment for kidnapping? And do you think that this is 2 years or 5 years too late?
Yeah, let me start by saying that when I watched the proceedings and the pronouncement of the proposal for death penalty with regards to kidnappers, for me, it was coming late. Number two, I was wondering, the kidnappers that they want to, or they are thinking or intending to propose a death penalty for, is it the kidnappers that we see government and politicians negotiate with, that they are proposing a death penalty for, or another type or other type of kidnappers that we don't know? In this country, unfortunately, government, whether we like it or not, and politicians negotiate. They have conversation, they dialogue with bandits, they are dialogue with kidnappers. So they are there proposing death penalty. And just the way I said, I don't know the kidnappers that they are proposing that for. Unfortunately, in this country, Nigerians are kidnapped on daily basis, ransom paid almost on daily basis. The number of Nigerians that have been kidnapped in the past 1 year is more than the population of some countries. In Guinea-Bissau, other countries, they have less 2 million population. So what that means is that if the kidnappers in Nigeria, if they go into these countries and they carry out acts of kidnapping, it means that the countries will cease to exist, right? In the last 1 year, from June 2024 to August 2025, Nigerians paid 2.56 billion naira as ransom in this country. You are also aware that the National Bureau of Statistics came up with a report, that's a federal government agency, came up with a report that 2.2 million Nigerians were kidnapped and 2.2 trillion naira was paid as ransom. And we saw that the government, the National Security Advisor, granted a press conference trying to debunk the report of the NBS. But I want to put it to you that when I did my PhD in security and strategic studies, my PhD thesis was on kidnapping for ransom in Nigeria. And it afforded me the opportunity to interact or interview well over 50 victims of kidnapping for ransom. And I know how much they told me they paid, right? And the trauma and the agony they went through is still haunting them as we are talking, right? And I also interacted with kidnappers, and the confessions that they made, right? I begin to wonder that, is it the way that we want to go? Because that proposal is amazing me. Why? Because once you negotiate and dialogue with bandits or kidnappers, what that means is that you are emboldening them. You are giving them, you are strengthening them to embark or carry out such acts of kidnapping on Nigerian citizens. So what we need to do as a country is that, yes, death penalty is the way to go, it's a welcome development, the fact that it's coming late, but negotiating with kidnappers and dialoguing with them, is that the way to go? Then if you are dialoguing and negotiating with them, how do you now apply the death penalty that you are thinking about, that they are proposing, right? So we should be serious as a country. We should take decisive action against these issues that have bedeviled Nigeria in the last couple of years.
Dr. Okwori, looking at it from an expert point of view, do you think extreme punishments, like death penalty, truly deters, kidnapping networks, or are these crimes driven by, deeper structural issues?
See, this country, it is not by talking, it's not by policy or speeches. What we need is decisive action. I think enough of talk, we need to walk the talk. Right. On your screen, there's look at kidnappers showing ransom they collected from Nigerians. Let me tell you, in this country, there are chains of kidnappers. From what I found out, what you see are foot soldiers. Their sponsors are out there, arming them, telling them what to do. So if you get hold of the foot soldiers and you don't get to their sponsors, it means you have not done anything. You are not achieving anything at all. Because these monies that they collect from Nigerians are taken to their sponsors, right? And their sponsors are out there, they look like you and I. We even envy them based on the kind of cars or houses they live. But this is where they make their money from, right? So as a country, we must be serious in addressing this issue. The point is, how serious are we? How do we track when these monies are paid? You see these videos on the social media platform where kidnappers are maltreating, torturing Nigerians, where ransom they collect are shared or are displayed. The camera, the camera that they used, the phone that they used in videoing this and sending it to the social media platform. Are you saying that the government don't know what to do, how to track this camera, the phone? The phone has an IME number. They have a SIM, whether the SIM is registered or not. But I know that we have the technology to be able to track. In this country, when you say something wrong about a government official and you use your phone, they will track, they will trace and get you. But why are we finding it difficult to be able to apprehend this set of criminals that make Nigerians go through a lot in this country?
Sir.
So the chain is that we must see how to disconnect that network. How do we do it? The government, security agencies, they know what to do in trying to see how to address this issue.
I mean, earlier I was also saying, I was almost towing the same line as you were when I said that I don't think it's a matter of numbers, it's more of a matter of will, right? And you said that the dissertation of your thesis or your doctorate was on kidnappings. And so I'm interested to know what the fundamental factors were and what were the hotspots for the rise of kidnappings that you found in your thesis.
Yeah, you see, there are different types of kidnapping. But I measured on ransom because my interest then was to know how these monies were collected. Was this monies how they are? Is it that they bring cash or they transfer the monies to various certain banks accounts and all that? Because when you hear how much is paid, you begin to imagine if Nigerians had to go to the banks, withdraw these monies and take to kidnappers. Now, I got to know that, number one, it's the phone of the victims that they use during ransom negotiation. Because the kidnappers are aware that if they use their own personal phone, the security agencies could or may track them. So they use victims' phones most time during ransom negotiation. At some point, when you hear that the victims' phones are not available, it means that their battery got drained and the phone was shut down. So at that point, the kidnappers try to see how to charge the phone so that they could be able to reach out to families of victims to continue the negotiation. Now, number two, I discovered that this money that is paid actually doesn't go to the perpetrators, right? I discovered that there was a case of 50 million that was paid, and the kidnappers told me that one of them got 300,000, another got 400,000, and all that. So the question now is, where does the bulk money go? The bulk money goes to their sponsors, right? And another victim told me that when there was a time that they were held in captivity in the forest, somebody came to see them. While they were coming, while the person was coming, he was privileged to see the foot of the person that came. And that if you see the foot of the person in the palm slippers, that this is looking so fresh, and the perfume that came along with the person, you will discover that the person that came into the forest was one of their sponsors, because based on what he saw. So the fact is, how do we now, that network, how do we now get to it? Because it's very difficult for our security professionals, whether they like it or not. It's difficult, but by their professional training, it is easier for them to see how to get to the root of the sponsors, who these people are. If we don't know who they are, then how do we now begin to see how to clamp down on the kidnappers and their network? So I think that we need some more professional training as security agents, and the government's seriousness and the will, right? Because whether we like it or not, this crime of kidnapping started in this Fourth Republic, right? And it's for the government and the security agency to see how to address it. Because Nigerians are going through hell, whether we like it or not. The victims that I interviewed told me that they don't wish their experience in the hands of kidnappers for their enemies. So just imagine that what you don't wish your enemy to experience. So it means that it's a horrible experience, right? Some victims were unable to cope to remain in Nigeria. They had to leave the shores of this country, in order to recover. So a lot is going on in that kidnapping business. And I've said it some time ago that from what I saw, from my interaction with them, I discovered that kidnapping for ransom has come to stay. Unfortunately, that is the reality. That's the truth that is befalling us at the moment.
Dr. Okwori, if you could recommend one urgent, structural reform Nigeria must pursue within, say, the next 12 months to reduce, kidnapping, what would it be?
Punishment. Punishment is the way.
You're saying punishment, but then now they have put in the death penalty. Would that be enough to deter the kidnappers?
Now, yes. It will be enough, but not completely. There are certain things that we need to do as government, but in terms of punishment, it's a way to go. Let there be that penalty, and we should be serious about it, right? And the will of justice. Imagine the case of Evans, the famous billionaire kidnapper. It took the court 5 years to prosecute his case, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment. Imagine the sums of money he collected from his victims, killed some persons to be able to achieve what he wanted to achieve. Imagine Wadume, Hamisu Bala from Taraba, a notorious kidnap kingpin, was arrested. They took him to court. According to the court, the prosecutor could not establish that this notorious kidnapper that is well known, that he was a kidnapper. So rather than sentencing him to life imprisonment as well, the court was able to establish that he escaped from a lawful custody and he was caught with unlawful arms in his possession and all that. And they had to sentence him to 7 years imprisonment. And from the day they arrested him to the point where he was sentenced, the way they had to run concurrently. The man ended up spending less than 2 years in prison and came out. And unfortunately for us in this country, a notorious kidnapper, when he went back to his community, it was a heroic welcome. The members of his community went to the boundary between their community and the other community to welcome him home. That's the kidnapper, right? And from the point where they welcomed him, he now went to the traditional ruler's palace to pay homage. How can we have such situation in our country? Wherein lies our value system this time? It means our value system have eroded. We no longer see where a criminal is punished. We see where a criminal is celebrated by members of his community. And we're talking about other youths that are out there that want to, see him as a mentor, right? So a lot we need to do. The judiciary, they need to see how to quicken processes when it has to do with criminal activities like kidnapping, right? So that in 5, 6, 7, 8 months, max 1 year, they are sentenced, right? And also the governors of our state, how quick or how well do they even sign death penalty? As we speak, we have over 3,000 in our prisons that are on death row. Governors are refusing to sign death penalty. I don't know why they are refusing to sign death penalty when the court has judiciously prosecuted the case, and the judgment or the outcome is death, and governors are refusing to sign death penalty. So we are talking about the will. The will must be there, to see how to address this. In the event where these people are sentenced to death, possibly they see where they killed their people, they are sent as in criminal colleagues, it will serve as deterrent. In Afghanistan, the way they treat kidnappers, once it's established that you are a kidnapper and it is pronounced in court that you are a kidnapper, how do they carry out execution? They kill you and take you to a public square, just like our Unity Fountain here in Abuja, and they hang you publicly. People pass and see that this is a kidnapper, and this was how he was killed, they hanged them publicly. So it also serves as deterrent. I'm not saying that we should apply that in Nigeria, but I'm just giving an instance that this is how it's done in Afghanistan, right? So there's need for us to be serious and the will to be able to confront this common enemy.
Right. Doctor, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us and just giving us your insights as well. But before I let you go, because I know we're pressed for time, just in a minute, right? There's now been calls for Nigerians to arm themselves regarding this, kidnapping. And we saw the senator representing Calabar municipality, and that's Asukwo Ekpeong, saying that Nigerians need to arm themselves. We've also seen Senator Nedumoko also push for this bill. What do you make of that? Has it gotten to the point where Nigerians need to start arming themselves against assailants and kidnappers?
Well, if the government, they are the lawmakers, if they amend the law and it's contained in the law for Nigerians to arm themselves, I think they are the people representatives. So they know what best is okay for the citizens of the country. Situation where the government is on Section 14.2b, which is the primary responsibility of government, security and welfare. We're not even talking about welfare of the citizens of the country. We're only talking about security here. And the government is unable to fulfill that section of the Constitution, right? If the government cannot provide security for the citizens of the country, then we should look out for alternatives.
All right. I must say thank you once again, Dr. Stephen Okwori. You have been very sublime this morning, giving us insights. As always, this conversation reminds us that Nigeria's fight against kidnapping is not yet over. We do hope that this bill passes and, of course, be implemented, and we see that death penalty being pronounced and added to the Criminal Act or Criminal Code Act of 2015. Once again, thank you so much for joining us.